Welcome back to the Motor House. I'm taking a break from the 7 restoration and trying to get the Elite differential taken care of. Previously, I did take it out, thought there was an issue with the brake cylinder leaking because I had fluid. I was showing a leak. Turned out, after doing the brakes, it's the differential seal, which is back in behind here. And so, back out. And I'm using the new transmission lift on the differential that my wife was kind enough to buy me for a birthday present because she said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want this." So, according to the book, I take these 4 bolts out, and then it's a matter of slide hammer pulling this out. So, that's where I will be going. I did take the 4 bolts out and loosened the retaining collar, and then used a slide hammer to pull out the shaft. I pulled it out about this far to show you what it is. And if you see the RTV there, that tells me somebody has been in here before. Now, the car didn't have that many miles on it, but somebody has definitely been in here before. So that's what it looks like as it comes off, and that collar to the right is what has to be chiseled off, cut off. Okay, taking a good look at the differential side here after I pulled it out. Let's see how well it shows up. Just little bits of there, but we do have some, I say, remnants seals. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'll see if I can change, but this is on an angle. It's like this here is on an angle. Let me see if I can I think this is an O-ring, and it is kind of on an angle here, 45-degree angle, but then it's flat here. And I think they messed it up. Maybe they didn't have the right parts to put it back together, and attempted some strange things. So, yeah, that is the... I have a new one, which helps a lot too, but just looks odd, because if this is here, if this is here at an angle, let's go over, and we'll look here. Sorry if I gotta get this. That there's also one on this side. So they doubled up the O-ring, and maybe they shouldn't have done that, but definitely it's only supposed to have one O-ring, and this has 2. As I say, mystery, but this is previous mechanics, and let's see, I have to figure out getting that off, and then pressing the bearing out, and the seal itself. See if we can get the seal itself is down in here. So, but you got to get all this off in order to get the shaft apart. To get the seal goes in this. So I have the shaft set up in the vise, and I have to get rid of this collar. I said to chisel it off. I've taped up the bearing, and I'm going to take the Dremel and start a slice, because I think if I can get a slice started, it'll be easier to get a chisel to start too after that. So try to get some relief cut into it. So that's why I've got all this taped up. It's just it's what I'm thinking about doing. It's what I think will be the best. The retaining collar has been I did not totally removed, but it's away from where it was, and yeah, it's a chore. I used let's see, where's this? Let's show this. I used a cutting wheel on Dremel, and it seemed to get in there, and with the chisels cut in and try to get some relief. And once I got some relief off of it and got it to start spinning, then it was able to chisel that way. Chisel that way to come off. So, all right, so that, hopefully that's the hardest part of this thing. All right. All right, getting the bearing off. I have a bearing separator tool in, and it's helping to walk the bearing off. So, if I had to put it in the press, I'll put it in the press, but I have a feeling it's just going to kind of walk off nicely by just tapping a little and working it down the shaft. The bearing separator worked very well, and bearing, and if you see that little O on it, that is the only mark on the bearing, and there's no marks on the seal, and of course there wouldn't be any marks on that's the O-ring, and there's the groove the O-ring fits down in, and the shaft. Now I did get a little nick where the collar goes, and of course there's the collar, and I had thoughts of putting it in a lathe, as I did kind of start doing that. It's like, oh, I didn't put it in a lathe. Maybe I take it off the lathe. But I'd done so much, it wasn't cutting well. So I just came back and continued on, because maybe that would be the better way from the start, is chuck it in a lathe and then just, take a lot of the meat off so you relieve it without going into the shaft. Just an idea for the future. It barely fit in my lathe. The chuck isn't wide enough. I couldn't get it to center well, and it just wasn't working. And the damage I'd already done by chiseling and cutting wasn't cutting well with the lathe. So that's why I went back to just taking it out. It's the next day, fresh eyes for me. The video just continues for you guys. Just want to put a caveat out that this is the very first time that I have done this job on an Elite. Done so much else on my Elite, a couple Elites I have, but this is the first one for me. So consider that when you follow this. And what I have to do is consider the bearing nip. So what I understand, after the seal's in, all this has to be cleaned up, and then, as I put this in, that's in, I'm not putting it all the way down, and because this can't come back off, I am hoping that if I do need a shim, that it slides down over all of this, so that, because otherwise, if you had to replace shims and you got to pull all this back apart to get a shim in, that's rough. So now when I took this apart, there was an O-ring in here and an O-ring in this groove. Now this groove is supposed to have an O-ring, and that disintegrated as I pulled it out. How's that? And this is the O-ring that was up in here, which there's nothing about one being in there. So I don't know. It's not supposed to have one that I'm aware of. But oh, bearing. I did find a number on the bearing as I cleaned it up. Let's see if I can, what side was it on? It is a SKF made in Sweden. Let me get the right number here. I gotta get the right, see if it shows up here. 3206. Check that out. 5206, I think. I gotta see it without the camera. Sorry, guys. 3206. 3206. Yep. 3206. And I did look the bearing up. I wrote down, took it inside, checked on computer, and the prices for them are quite expensive. And then I looked at what the Lotus people are selling them for, and they're quite cheap compared to what everyone else is selling them for. So definitely check your prices, because Lotus suppliers seem to have them a lot cheaper listed. I have moved to, I guess, the front garage, because I do have more than one here, in order to get to the shop press, because I don't use it that often. So, okay, bearing is pressed down, and I had a bronze bushing that was the right size for both the bearing and the collar, and then I just took a piece of 1.25" pipe and set that up to be my tube for pressing it for the length. So I was hoping to take this collar, and I have an inductor. I was going to heat it up that way, make it nice and simple, but unfortunately I don't have a coil big enough to go around it. So back to the torch. So I'll heat it up with the torch, and then with some pliers, put it over onto there and press it down. And I'm not going to film this because I need to concentrate on what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do, though. I guess we call this success at the moment, because till it all comes out and it all fits back together and I make sure there's no issues, this is success at the moment. And it did take a lot more pressure than I thought it should to get that down there. But the collar did slip on and expanded, and I did give it a little bit more heat once it was on there to ensure it continued its journey. And then I took a nice blower to put a lot of cool air on it and cool it down that way. So didn't want to use water, didn't want to give it that kind of shock, just wanted the air to kind of start cooling it down. So I'm going to let this sit for a little while longer, and then I'll pull it out and check the results. Okay, temporary reassembly to measure the nip. And I get a 9 to go in some places. This is all US. So this is all US and not metric, sorry. So I get a 9 to go in some places, I get 10 to go in. 8 is definitely way too loose. And I'm not really sure. Supposed to measure the between there. Supposed to measure that. And that's a 9, and it goes in way too easily. And I'm only doing this one-handed, left hand. So I think I need to get a small shim. Mess, sorry. That's my allowable in American. So, and I've got a 9 and a 10 going in. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of sealant, but I don't think that's going to really take it up, and I'd like to get this done once. So, nip on the bearing. I know who does have them, and they're a little long in getting to me, but let me see if RD has them tomorrow. But the book says to press everything up against and to do a measurement holding it tight. It doesn't hold that tight, and I didn't really tighten the bolts up. I just snugged them to kind of get it in place so it wasn't wobbling around. So there's no torque or anything really on them. And you got to use a slide hammer and pull it back out when you go to do all this. And the O-ring is not in yet because it just wanted to do this test. The shim has arrived, courtesy of RD Enterprises. Thanks Ray and George for the quick shipment and getting it out. Now I just got to put things together. Now, All right, what I'm anticipating. Let's go over to here. I set the O-ring in here, but I'm concerned. I believe that, granted, it's not going to stay there. The back plate goes here, and then you've got to hold the back plate in place without bolts while you get the axle shaft in. And that's going to be, I'm going to need an extra set of hands. I'm probably going to have to ask my dear wife to come out and help me with extra set of hands to hold things. One of my concerns is that when I put the bearing through, it might want to catch on the O-ring. So that's one of the key things, is to make sure that that goes in. So I need a set of hands to hold the back plate in place while I send the axle in. So, and then I can start putting bolts in. I tried to assemble and things went horribly wrong. That's the best way to describe it. In trying to put it together, the O-ring, it got sliced into pieces. With the bearing, trying to get it in position, it just got sliced. So I had an extra set of hands holding this up and trying to guide everything through it into it. So I came up with a different idea. So let's look at the different idea. So I'm going to use all thread. I tried to get long bolts, but they had all thread. And this is 8mm with a thread pitch of 1. And if I do long alignment studs, then I can get everything set up and work it in slowly instead of trying to hold everything in place and try to get a bolt in. So this is, sorry, this is my idea. The only hiccup is that I did try doing the 4 of them, but I made the mistake. Yes, my mistake, and it's good to make them before you put it together, is that there's only 2 places to have it go through. So let's see, right, let's get it done here. So you can only have 1 here and 1 there. You can't have 4 because they're not notches. But 2 work. 4 would have been nice and better, but this should work out. And I'm just waiting for parts to arrive, new O-rings, so I can reassemble again. So I am ready to put it all together. So we're going to hope for the best. So the 2 guide rods, and I've put the O-ring on the outside of the bearing, and hopefully to just get everything to go in there and end up where it should be. I put a little bit of sealant around the outside. So, alright, now I need both my hands. Alright, so everything is settling in. I've got 2 bolts on, and it seemed like it went on fairly well. Now just to remove the alignments, the alignment all thread there, and put the other ones in and snug it up. Okay, everything is tightened up, and I did find it was easier to take the one brake line off that goes down to the bleeder, and I'll stick that back on first before I put everything back up in. So it's in, it's back together, and I say we'll hope for no leaks. Been debating whether or not I should probably be, do I put the fluid in now or wait till it's up in the car? But anyway, getting it back up in the car is something that I've already shown when I was doing the brake cylinder, so this is probably a good place to stop. And I think everything went well with the O-ring. Of course, won't know till it's on the road and there's no leaks, which is what we're hoping for. All right, thanks for watching. I hope this helps anybody who is contemplating having to do this job. because that's the only reason I did this, is that it's a rare thing. I haven't seen any videos about it, so if somebody has to do it, at least it could help you. All right, thanks.